My mum told me a story of a special shopping trip to London when Mum and Dad had taken me and they were walking around the busy streets, and suddenly they turned round and I was gone. And they were frantically looking for me, and then they found me quite quickly because I'd gone off with a little boy, and his parents just followed him happily up the street because I liked the look of him, because I was content, because I was excited, and he was happy and chatty. Well, you can imagine how frantic my parents were. But we found each other again. So it had a happy ending. I've been reading an Advent book by Tom Wright, and today he's been looking at the story in Luke where Jesus and his family have gone to a festival. They've been travelling with friends and family, and eventually they leave Jerusalem, and after a whole day's travelling, they realise Jesus isn't with them. And they go back to Jerusalem and they're frantically searching for him. They finally find him in the temple, and he says to them, "Didn't you know I'd be about my Father's business?" Oh, I can't imagine what Mary was going through. Listen to this. This is what Tom Wright says about the story. As we read this story prayerfully, then we can probably identify quite easily with Mary and Joseph, and perhaps with Jesus too, quietly asserting an independence of mind and vocation, while still returning home and living in obedience to Mary and Joseph. We may want to remember times when we thought we'd lost someone or something very precious. We may want to reflect on whether we have taken Jesus himself for granted. If Mary and Joseph could do it, there is every reason to suppose that we can too. We mustn't assume that he is accompanying us as we go off on our own business. But if and when we sense the lack of his presence, we must be prepared to hunt for him, to search for him in prayer, in the scriptures, in the sacraments, and not to give up until we find him again. We must expect too that when we do meet him again, he will not say or do what we expect. He must be busy with his Father's work. So must we. And the question Tom Wright leaves with us is this: do you ever feel that you've lost touch with Jesus? If so, what might help you regain and retain a sense of his guiding presence? I've been told many times that this year people are getting ready for Christmas early. Remember, I had to put the tree up in the middle of November because I was recording an Advent message. And there are many who have put the lights up, the decorations up. They've shopped early for Christmas before lockdown came in, or they're shopping online early to avoid the rush or stocks running out. For some of those people, Jesus is an afterthought. Maybe mentioned in a carol, school nativity play, but actually they've never had that connection, that heart connection with Jesus, so they aren't really aware that they've lost him. But even in the church, especially this year maybe, as we're desperately trying to figure out what we can do maybe instead of big carol services because we can't sing, or how we're going to connect with the community and get the message across with all the restrictions and new regulations as people are desperately trying to fit in all their family visits into the 5 days of amnesty. Even in the church, if we're not careful, we may do a lot of talking about Jesus. We may be desperately trying to bring meaning into everything we're doing and every encounter we have with others. But my thought for today is this. Take a deep breath. Every day, find a moment in the preparations. Find moments before you have conversations with people and ask yourself, are you connected to Jesus? Do you feel him in your preparations? Are you talking as much to him as you are about him? And if he feels a little distant now because of all the circumstances surrounding us, take a moment. Ask him to come near. Find some stillness. Read the stories again. Look to the sky and realize that the Star of Bethlehem may not be visible in the same way today as it was 2,000 years ago. But everything about the presence of Jesus is as real today as it was then. Just need to look, seek, and find, and then take some moments just to rest in his presence so that Christmas is as real to us as we're trying to make it for everyone else. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.